97.9 GRD rocks. Hey, it's Metalhead Ned hanging out on an awesome interview. You know, I usually interview like really heavy metal guys. You know, that's all I do is heavy metal stuff. But, you know, I'm going to go outside my comfort level and interview a band that I've seen before. I hear them all the time on air, and they're awesome. It's the Black Keys, and I've got Patrick Carney from the Black Keys. How's it going, man?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, for sure. You got a big tour about to start up, starting in Columbus, Ohio, your home state, and heading to Grand Rapids on September 7th at the Van Andel Arena. How does it feel to almost be back on tour again?
Well, we just did a 5-week run of Europe.
Yeah.
So we've been off for we've been home for about 2 weeks. So we're ready to do this.
Yeah, no.
We have it's 4 weeks. It's 4 months in the U.S. You know.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
3 months in the U.S. But U.S. touring never feels like you never feel like you're too far from home, you know.
Yeah, that's a good point, especially being from Akron, Ohio, as well too. Just basically, you know, from Michigan to Ohio, you know, it's not too far, so you don't have to drive too far for us to get to Grand Rapids.
No, I mean we live in Nashville now, but yeah, you know, all the Midwest always feels like home to us, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So
definitely.
Even Buffalo to Milwaukee, you know.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, you got the new album, Turn Blue, just hit shelves. How do you kind of feel about the new album?
We're proud of it. I haven't listened to it since it came out, which is the norm. I guess if I were sitting around listening to our own record, I'd probably have like a narcissistic streak or something. But you know, every time we go in the studio, we make a record, and we try to pick up from somewhere else. We don't necessarily try to pick up from the same spot the last record was at. So you know, it can throw some people through a loop at first. I guess in certain ways, much more mellow than like El Camino, our last record. The songs live, you know, they've been translated really well.
Yeah,
so it's just gonna be fun to play.
For sure, man. Now you obviously got Cage the Elephant on the tour with you as well too. Have you guys played with Cage the Elephant before in previous tours at all?
We have. We've only done 1 or 2 shows in the U.S. together, but we did a 2-week tour of Canada 3 years ago together, and that was cool. A lot of fun. We became friends, and you know, we'll hang out when we're all in town because most of those guys live in Nashville at this point.
Now, when you're on tour, I mean, you obviously just got back from Europe and everything like that. You haven't really had maybe 2 weeks to just kind of sit back. Now, what do you do to kind of hang out and relax for that period of time, even on tour?
Well, when I'm on tour, there's a lot of downtime on tour. You know?
Yeah,
it's mostly downtime. That time is spent usually sleeping, or roaming the town, I guess.
Oh, cool.
But it's hard to do anything productive. So when I go home, I try to do something somewhat productive, whether it's as simple as making dinner every night or going into my studio and trying to do some work. Yeah, I basically on tour you end up, you know, it's all about the show. So the hour and a half that you're playing on stage is you know, the highlight of the day. The trick is to not let the other 22 and a half hours bum you out.
Have you ever roamed around the Grand Rapids area before?
I have, yeah. We've only played there one time, and it was March 18th. I think 2012. So we had a day off there, St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, there was a lot of people out that day.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it was fun. We are Beer City, USA, so toss in St. Patrick's Day with that and Beer City, USA, and you've just got a whole land of just people partying. That's all it is.
It was fun. It was also surprisingly nice for March.
Yeah, especially being up here in Michigan. I mean, with all the strange weather patterns that we have here in the Midwest. Michigan just kind of is that state that either it's snowing one day and then it's 85 the next day.
We recorded basically 2.5 songs on the new record in Benton Harbor in January 2013. We did it a long time ago. We went up there and we got up, and as we were I drove up in my car from Nashville, and it started raining when we got to Kentucky, and then by the time we got up into Michigan, it was snowing. We parked at the studio, and then the next day we went out and got Mexican food, and then it started snowing, and we didn't leave the studio for the next 10 days. We got snowed in.
Yeah, no, that sounds like Michigan, man.
Yeah.
Just stuck in a studio. That's what we do. Speaking of that kind of stuff, before the Black Keys kind of really hit out there, what did you kind of do previously, previous jobs, before you became, you know, the Black Keys musician here?
Our first record came out when I was 22. Prior to that, starting when I was 15, I lied about my age. I got a job as a dishwasher at a restaurant. I used to work, in high school. I got horrible grades. I would work 35 hours a week. My mom told me if I saved half my money, I could spend the other half on whatever I wanted. I'd buy that's how I bought a drum set and bought my first 4-track recorder and some microphones. All the stuff that I bought, basically everything you would need to have a band. And then I never had time to really start a band because I was always working. And then it wasn't until Dan would come over and jam when we were in high school and early college. And then around the time, it was like right around 9/11, like we had made this demo, and then we just decided we would drop out of school and try to start the band. So I quit my last real job like before we went on our first tour, and I didn't really quit. I came back. I was mowing lawns, and I just like. We went on a 3-week tour, and it was like right in the middle of summer. And I figured that like hopefully the grass just wouldn't grow that much, and I'd be able to like pretend like I was just saving the people some money by not coming around. And I was totally fired
from mowing lawns. Kind of go into the other realm of things. What would you say is your favorite movie when you have time?
The movie I've seen the most is Terminator 2. I don't really know why that is, but I've seen it like 40 times.
It's probably the best sequel ever made, man.
But it was not my favorite movie, but I don't know, my favorite movie? Actually, my favorite movie, if I had to answer it, I think the real answer would be Spinal Tap.
These ones go up to 11.
Yeah, I think I've actually seen that more than I have seen Spinal Tap at this point. On the European tour, I watched it 3 or 4 times on the bus alone, that trip. And I mean, I saw it for the first time when I was like 12 or 13. I've probably seen it 3 or 4 times every year.
Now, I gotta ask, have you tried putting a cucumber in your pants wrapped in tinfoil and going through a metal detector?
No, that's the whole point. I don't understand why is the cucumber wrapped in tinfoil? I don't really get. That is amazing.
You should try it sometime. Make it a video for a website or something like that.
Watch that movie, you'll notice something small you never noticed before. And like it wasn't until the last time I watched it that I realized that when they play the song Big Bottom, Derek Smalls, the bass player, is playing a double neck bass, but both necks are the same exact 4-string bass guitar. And then everyone else is playing bass as well.
Right. There's like no point to it whatsoever.
I love that.
Speaking of just kind of music besides Spinal Tap and everything, what other types of music do you listen to? I mean, what else is in the world of Pat?
I mean, I listen to a lot of stuff. You said that you normally are playing a lot of metal. I don't really listen to much metal, but
right.
I know a little bit about it. And I'll get into like some early kind of thrash records. But our guitar tech, was like a huge metalhead.
Cool.
Especially around like the thrash era. And he was telling me when we were in Germany, he was just telling me how good Metal Church's first record is. I bought and listened to a lot of Metal Church for about a week when we were.
So
yeah. And then I went from there at Man of War.
Oh, dude!
Yeah, and
those guys are great.
That's not normally my cup is like my go-to type of music to listen to, but I can appreciate some of it. I do a lot of classic rock, a lot of indie rock, a lot of hip hop. And then I'll get on these weird kicks where I was like get into like buy some like Metal Church, and I don't know what to do. I'll get into like weird like Cuban stuff from the '60s. It's not like go-to music for me. It's just stuff that I like. Yeah, it's just like kind of cleansing your palate or whatever.
Now, just to kind of wrap things up, I got one little last question for you. What would you say, the band or album that inspired you to just basically pick up an instrument and anything, or just even get into music at all?
I got my first electric guitar when I was. I played drums in the band, but
well, of course.
I started on an electric guitar. My best friend Steve had an electric guitar.
Yeah.
And I thought it was super rad, and I wanted one. And it was around the same time my dad started playing me like Jimi Hendrix, like 6th grade. It was like Led Zeppelin 2. That record is the record that made me want to just play rock and roll.
Yeah.
And I was already into the Beatles and stuff, but that for some reason, just the intro to Whole Lotta Love, it just blew my mind. It still is amazing. But and then going to shows when I was like teenager. The drummer that made me want to play drums is Russell Simmons from the John Spencer Blues Explosion. He's still one of my favorite drummers and extremely underrated. But yeah. He basically played, rock and roll, but was doing like really insane break beats on top of it for most of it. It's cool.
Sweet. And that just kind of rolls you into it and just being like, that's what you want to do. You just look and listen, and it basically develops from there.
Yeah, right there.
Awesome, man. Well, anything you want, just to kind of wrap things up, is there anything you want the fans to know out there? Anything about the upcoming tour? Anything about album related? Anything that you want to let them know?
Yeah, just we're excited to play Grand Rapids, and we playing stuff off a little bit off of every record we put out, and we always have fun playing the Midwest. Yeah, it'll probably be our last time going through for at least the next year. So we have a lot more touring to do. So we still have to go to Australia. We have to go back to Europe. And we have to go to South America. So yeah.
Sweet, dude.
Cool. Well, thanks for having me on.
Yes, thanks, man. Appreciate it. We'll hopefully see you soon. September 7th at the Van Andel Arena. Get your tickets now at all Ticketmaster outlets. Thanks again, Pat, and we'll see you at the show.
Cool, man. Thank you.